welcome to the Funny Enough podcast. I'm your host, Zaie.
And I'm your host, Jeffrey.
And this is episode 10, Gender and Sexuality, Then versus Now.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're about to really get into it.
Yeah. Let's.
Yeah, so I want to start by, let me get my handy dandy computer here. I want to start by just talking about the overall, you know how I do, the definition of, what gender and what sexuality means in 2024, because things have changed. Things have definitely changed over the years.
Yeah.
A lot of things that weren't normalized back then or a few decades ago are normalized now. And so we kind of want to talk about like how that came to be. What are some things that, contributed towards that? How do we play a part in that? And we have some more topics that we're going to get into after that. But we're going to start with this one. I'm on the Human Rights Campaign.org. So they define sexual orientation as an inherent or immutable, enduring emotional, romantic, or sexual attraction to other people. Note, an individual's sexual orientation is independent of their gender identity. And then it has the definition of gender identity. Gender identity meaning one's innermost concept of self as male, female, a blend of both or neither. How individuals perceive themselves and what they call themselves. One's gender identity can be the same or different from their sex assigned at birth. So, and then it has a bunch of other, kind of like things in context under that. But basically we're just going to be talking about those main two. Like I said, it has a lot of different topics under that, but we're going to stick to those two for now. Starting with, I guess, gender, since gender and sexuality, we do gender first in the name. So we can start with gender. How do you think gender identity has, changed within, I would say, the last, really, 20 years, last 20 years, we can say, from, 2000 to now.
Yeah.
That's 24,
Yeah.
but still.
Yeah. It's changed a lot. Even now, just seeing all the options on forums, when you're in the waiting room, how it has options for non-binary or whatever. I personally never thought that would even happen because so many people were and like you said, it had been around, but then it came to the forefront. How long ago would you say? Being able to really say that
Since COVID.
Yeah, so in 2020. So in 2020. And people were just so against it and made the nastiest memes, and stuff.
And still do.
Yeah. So the progress, I guess will be the word, in that way, I think that's great. Seeing it on forums and stuff. Just
progress.
little things like that to let those people know that they see them and that they're acknowledged,
Yeah.
And even though I identify as a male, which is what, I was assigned at birth, that doesn't mean that I don't, think other people shouldn't have respect that identify as whatever, Yet again, just because I identify as male.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm not understanding of that. So it's changed a lot. I think if somebody said or asked me to call them, 10 or 15 years ago, it would be confusing. 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Be WTF almost.
Yeah. And it's still confusing to some.
To some, yeah. I had to learn a lot, and I'm in the community. I'm in the algorithm.
Yeah.
Or not the algorithm, what do you call it? The thing, LGBTQ, whatever you call that.
Yeah, the acronym.
Acronym, thank you. I'm in the acronym, and I had to figure some things out. So it has changed a lot, but I think anytime things change like that, it's good because there's someone out there that identifies with that and feels a connection and feels heard and seen. So that's a positive.
One of my best friends, Jordan, he identifies as non-binary as well. But, he doesn't really, some people are very strict about their pronouns. He's not really that strict. He does go by he, they, as far as I know, maybe even she. But as far as I know, mainly he, they. But, sometimes I will like, insert they, them pronouns when I communicate with him, but most of the time it is he because, that he's just not, as strict as some people are. Now some people are very like straightforward, like, hi, my name is, I go by, like that's their first two sentences, and so I would say that in that way, gender identity has changed within the last really 10 years, last decade.
Yeah.
Because, it used to be, like, hey, how are you? Like, it used to be very simple. You could look at somebody and, whatever identity comes to your mind in that moment, that's more than likely what they are. But nowadays, like, you really do have to ask, or you really do have to introduce yourself. And a lot of people, a lot of people a lot of times will say, like, hi, my name is, my pronouns are, like, those are their first two sentences. And so I think that in that way, that has changed in the last 10 years. Not necessarily in a negative way, but it has just changed, and so I think, like I said, some people are more strict with their pronouns, some aren't. And I definitely respect people's pronouns. I tend to use them, like, like I said in our last episode, I love Demi Lovato, and they go by, she, they, so I do, try to switch between the two. But, I think it's definitely changed.
Yeah.
I think people need to learn that, it is a change. It is something like you said, like in the last few years, like that is when it's really been prevalent in like language, text, dictionary,
sure,
news articles, like publicized as far as language,
For me, it was just honestly the memes, and I was like, "What are they talking about?" I didn't know what the memes were even about. I had to go look it up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. And then now you'll be at certain places like when I saw Madonna, she said multiple times, guys and girls, theys and thems. Like people will throw that in there now. I love that too. Like throwing that in there.
Just
when
making sure everyone is
like when you say guys and girls, like why not just say theys and thems too? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So when I hear those kind of things, it makes me happy. But I know there's still people out there that are just small-minded, narrow-minded, blinded by idiocy, because that's what that is.
Yeah, but I think it has definitely changed in a positive way. I think people need to be more patient when it comes to gender identity. I think that people are still wearing, like, even people I know people in my family or people that have been close to me are still like, what is this? I don't get that. They're still in their learning phase, so you have to give people time. Because I know I definitely right now identify as a cisgender male, assigned at birth male. That's what I identify as. But I could one day wake up like, hey, I'm not like I don't feel that way right now. But if I were to do that, I know some heads would turn. Like from some family members, some friends of mine, like some heads would turn. So it's just like you have to be mindful of even though there are people that identify with that now, like. When it comes to people that especially or people that other people know, it tends to be more of more of a conversation and not just a hi, my name is, I go by this, and oh okay, that's cool, like it's more of a like, oh well, these are people that have always known you as da 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 da, and now you're saying, oh well, I'm da 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 da, which is fine, more than fine. But I definitely think you have to give people time with it, time to process it, time to learn and create that habit for themselves of not saying he, for instance, and changing pronouns and stuff like that for people that are very adamant about that. So I would just say, like, don't be so critical and be patient, but definitely like make sure you're respected about whatever it is, whatever your pronouns are, like make sure that whoever it is using them correctly. If they do not know, like, educate them. But just be like, patient with the people that are trying. Yeah, the people that are trying. The people that are not,
Shame on them.
Shame on them.
Yeah, really. I mean.
But that's pretty much the, gender identity consensus of like, how We pretty much spoke about
literally, you might have just taught me some shit. Like, I guess I'm a cisgender male.
Cisgender. Yeah, that means
I was born a male.
yeah,
And
you
I identify as a male.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's what I am. Yeah. See, he just taught me some shit. Like, I'm still learning shit.
Yeah,
I didn't even know what I was.
And I think I saw that on like some website.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Well,
Well, I see it on Grindr, but I never knew what it means. Well, shit, it's oh, my bad.
no, it's fine. Yeah, that's what that means. And shout out to our people that aren't cisgender. That means that I forgot all the categories, but I know it's like cisgender, and then it's like trans, and then like non, like stuff like that. And so, yeah, shout out to our trans folk. I've definitely met my fair share of trans individuals. They're great. So shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
Even though Pride Month's over, we're still.
Oh yeah.
We're still shouting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But yeah, we can talk about sexual orientation.
Okay.
And how that has changed, because that has definitely changed as well.
Mm-hmm.
Especially within our community.
Yeah.
Do you want to? I feel like. Well, actually, let's start. I feel like that's more of sex culture, not really sexual orientation. But I guess I can say so. Because the topic is sexuality, so I'll start not with sexual orientation, and I'll start with just sexuality in general. For the straights in the back. I feel like for straight people, and asexuals too, but I feel like for straight people specifically, I think that it has become more, common that people are less monogamous, and because in my opinion, like that, I'm sure it's always been around. I'm sure it's always been a thing, but I think in the last, I would say, decade, the last 10 years or so, like polyamory and like, things like that, like have really become more popular, and not just sexually, like threesomes, but like, like sexuality, like, relationships, like love life, like marriage, like
thruples.
Yeah, there are people that are, consenting to being in committed relationships that are more than two people. And
yeah, I personally could never consent to it.
Yeah.
I personally could never consent.
I'm definitely monogamous.
And I'm very jealous, and I will hurt people about my man.
Like, I don't want to be with three people or, two people at once.
I don't even want to do that for one night. Personally.
Yeah.
I'm just not into that.
Yeah.
I'm just into the one person and the one vibe going on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just got personal.
No, yeah. Like,
I just couldn't do a throuple or polyamory.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's so, like, I mean, I couldn't do it either, but I think it's so popular now. Like,
it's weird.
Because people have that.
I mean,
freedom.
I'm saying it's weird, but.
And they have that, but not only do they have that freedom to do it, but they have the, dating apps, they have social media.
Well,
they have places where they can literally put a hashtag and say, here's a whole bunch of people that agree and are like me. And they can find their people and create these relationships and actually pull it off. Like, I've seen people, maybe not in the U.S., but
have you ever seen Sister Wives? Like
married.
The actual show about it, Sister Wives? The man that's married to all those women. Have you ever seen it?
No, I've never seen that.
Yeah, there's like a show about an actual couple where he's married to a bunch of women.
I'm sure.
It's a nightmare. Sorry.
But I think that, to each their own, if you're into that, or if you have done that, or if you want to do that, then to each their own, live your best life, I would say.
Or if you're like me and you're not into that.
Then yeah, there's that.
I just don't know how you could do it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know, I would get aggravated.
But yeah, that and a whole sexuality, like, I feel like has changed a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But as far as sexual orientation, I think that, that has definitely changed a lot as well. I know, like, for me personally, I used to just tell people that, you know, like, I really didn't like people like in my business because when you're because I'm an adult now, but when you're a child and you're a minor and you're adolescent and you
I
are,
asked that question 100 times.
you know, yeah,
It's
people will
ridiculous.
ask you what your
To label
like,
yourself.
you know, what your sexual orientation is. Are you gay? Are you gay? Are you gay? And I just feel
So
like, you
annoying.
know, of course, it's a very juvenile thing. Like it happens to a lot of people in school, but when you grow up, I really think it's such an, you know, a question we don't really think about because by then you know, because I didn't have, you know, sex until college anyway. So, you know, for everybody that was just like whatever they were thinking about me. You know, I didn't even get to figure that out for myself until I was an adult. So, you know, I think back then I was just very, I was sheltered from a lot and I was not allowed to do a lot. And so I didn't get to experience a lot. But I had questions. I just didn't necessarily, I didn't want to like give in or feed into those ideas or that part of myself that I knew might be there, but I hadn't, like I said, found that out yet at this time. I was, you know, still figuring it out. And I think that that's okay. I think it's a lot of people, child or adult, that are still figuring it out. And I don't think that it should be necessarily endorsed to question somebody like I said, even if they're adults, like even if like I mean it's different when you're a celebrity because everybody's going to question you, everyone's going to judge you. That's just the life of a celebrity, unfortunately. But when you're, you know, not a celebrity and you're just here, and people are asking you what's going on, what's in your business, like it's okay
Asking you to label yourself.
yeah, it's okay to feel, you know, uncomfortable by those questions. It's okay to outright answer the questions. Like if you got to answer, period. If you know what you are, period. If you like want to declare that to whoever may ask or wants an answer, then period. But if you also feel like, you know, you don't want to disclose that information or you don't know what that answer is, and that's okay. But yeah, I think, you know, it has changed in that way. Of course, there are people in the community that know what they are, know what they like, know what they want, and there are labels for that now. But there weren't always labels. And so I think it is important to remember, like, you know, some people may not know, some people may still be discovering, or some people may not just want to share that, you know, because not everybody, um, you know, talks about sex so openly like that. Because it is still in 2024 a very taboo topic, even though you can click on Twitter and see OnlyFans stars just like that. But it's still a very taboo topic. So you have to be very mindful of that, you know, when you're meeting people, talking to people, or anything related to this. But I definitely think it has changed within the last specifically 10 years. I know we're talking about 20, but specifically in the last 10 years, it definitely has changed. And for me personally, I know, like I said, that I did not get to figure out those parts of myself until I was an adult. And for a long time, I categorized myself or labeled myself as just one thing. I was just like, oh, this is just what I'm used to. Even though, you know, I have dated women before, this is just what I'm used to. And so I was just like, oh, I'm gay. But really, I'm pansexual. And a lot of people don't know that. But yeah, I'm actually pansexual. And so, you know, I wouldn't have known that if I didn't do the research on myself and also live my life and figure it out, but also do the research on, you know, the other labels, because it's not just LGBTQ, like it's LGBTQ plus, and there are other labels out there. So if you don't really know what you are, but you know, then I would say do your research, look it up. Like at one point I thought I was demisexual, and no, that's not. That doesn't mean Demi Lovato. Like demisexual has nothing to do with like sexuality or the actual sex at all. And so at one point I did, like it's a part of asexuality. I thought I was that, but I'm not. But at one point I did think I was that. So it's just like, you really have to do your research. You really have to experience and live your life and figure out what works for you, what is like, what works for you. So yeah, I guess you can in the last few minutes talk about what your sexual orientation journey has been like.
Well, I'm gay, and I pretty much have always known that I was gay. I always like girly things, the whole like that's for boys, that's for girls, that whole thing. Always had to deal with that, like that's for boys, that's for girls. I always like girly stuff, whatever.
Me too, but it was like taken from me. Like, no, don't play with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of taken from me. I mean, it wasn't like completely banned though. Like, my parents knew I was gay. They had to have known. There wasn't much for me to figure out. If I'm being honest, I feel like, although my personality is pretty aggressive for the most part, I feel like I always knew kind of how I would be sexually. I don't know. So I knew what kind of guys I was attracted to. So once I was getting out there a little more, I just started hollering at them, and whatever happened, happened. But for me, for the most part, I had a good time when I was younger and I was figuring it out. It's like a time that I look back on that I kind of wish I could like watch.
Really?
Yeah, for me. I mean, of course, I ran into moments where I got into trouble and I got jammed up talking to guys that were older and whatever, get in situations like that.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of life, period. Like when you do get a little bit of freedom, you just kind of want to go a little nuts. Like what you were saying, but you were in college. But everyone does it.
Yeah.
So
I had my little like people, but I didn't do anything with them,
Yeah. Well, no, I never said where I was. I mean, I was always at a friend's house, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was with a guy. I didn't really even say anything until I was much older, but yet again, it was like I didn't need to really say anything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
For me, I won't lie, I feel like I kind of had it pretty easy for the most part.
Yeah.
And that is, but
some households are more, we didn't even talk about that, but some households are more like accepting.
Well, and it's not, we're not open about sex necessarily or anything, but my mom has just, for the most part, always been like, as long as y'all are safe with whatever y'all are doing, I don't really care.
Yeah.
So, that's just kind of how she is. So as long as I take care of myself and my body and my health and I'm responsible, my mother is cool with whatever.
Yeah.
So for me, to be honest, it's been pretty easy for the most part. Yeah. And shout out to those that it was difficult for. I'm not trying to, make it sound like it's perfect. I was very lucky that I knew, and I can say I'm gay 100 times. I love it. I love gay culture, all that. So for me, it's been a fun ride.
Fun ride.
It's been a fun ride. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's definitely not, it's been great. And it's been great for some, and shout out
Now, let me just say this, though. I mean, like, I was totally, like, bullied to death in school and stuff. Like, it wasn't like, it was just easy for me to always be gay.
Yeah.
It just was with my family.
Yeah.
But, like, in school, getting asked, like, yeah, I hate that shit. Why does it matter?
Yeah.
You want to know because
really
you're also curious?
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
But, yeah.
Play with me.
Shout out. The people that ask those questions in school, please stop. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
it is such a 2005 question.
They're probably not even gonna watch this, but yeah. So the people that are still in school or whatever, like,
that's one thing I
job.
hope has changed. Even though we both are not in school in like a building every day of the week.
I mean, I feel like there's more
openly
gay people in school.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope it's much better. And you know what's funny? Just to close it out for me. When I was, for then versus now, it's perfect. When I was a senior, I remember I was coming down the hall and this guy passed me and he had in like color contacts, makeup, boots, like he was done up, and I was like, that just makes me so happy. I'm a senior and he's like starting out his freshman year and he can like just totally be himself.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't, but like in 4 years, something kind of had changed because he was just walking around. Nobody was messing with him.
Yeah.
So like at the end of high school, I kind of got to see like the turn a little bit.
Yeah.
Because even though I'm just a few years older, like, I don't know, my high school was pretty bad with me being gay. They did not like it.
Yeah.
Or my middle school.
I mean,
Or any of my schools.
It was like that for me. I mean, they kind of knew, but it was more so a question. And so, and even with
And there's so many
women, like there's some women that follow me, and some of them I dated. And it's just like, you know, they may think that I dated them to like get people to stop asking if I was gay or not, but that was not the case at all.
Right.
But yeah, I think, like I said, it's just a question that shouldn't really be asked, but it is, you know, because you're young and you're gonna ask things, you're gonna say things. It just is what it is. You're gonna deal with a lot, you know. I guess it's everybody. I think it definitely has changed in this generation, but yeah, back then for me too, it was definitely a question that everybody asked until, you know, basically I moved away and yeah, I started to meet some other people and do some other things, and then I left really and tried some things. So I think it's different from some. Because some people are definitely experimenting in high school now, and like they don't have to wait until they're grown to figure out what they like and don't like. Because I had to do that too, you know. So, but we'll get into that in the next episode.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that has definitely changed both concepts, gender and sexuality, and changed then and now. But hopefully, we are progressing, getting even better. Hopefully it's getting better for the children.
Yes.
Because they say we're just like enabling or we're just ruining the children, but we're really not. If anything, like things are becoming more free and more accepting and hopefully more happy for people that used to be, you know, they used to be judged for things like that. So, yeah, and shout out to those people that are, you know, like I said, still in school or still in homes or something like that, dealing with things like that. You know, because we definitely see you, and we know it's not hard, and there are resources out there for you. If you ever need to talk to anyone, we are here.
Yeah.
And for the people that are proudly supporting anybody and everything, no matter what you are, we salute you and we thank you.
Can I ask you one more thing before we close it out?
Yeah.
During that time, like when you just weren't really sure, like, do you feel like something was like a outlet for you, or like something you could kind of pour your, you know what I mean, like express yourself through? Like, were you doing music back then, or like
I was doing
acting?
Music. There were some songs like I made a few sad songs about.
No, that's
like,
okay.
How I felt or something.
If that's how you felt.
But,
okay.
Yeah, I used to write a lot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's dope. Okay.
I wrote a lot.
Okay, I'm just curious. Sorry.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to do that. You have to find some
an
sort of outlet. So
something you feel connected to, whatever. Yeah.
And
there's a lot of apps now where you can talk to people, like in groups, LGBTQ groups and stuff. You know, a lot of that stuff too. I like. But anyways, I'm gonna shut up now.
Yeah. But anyways, we're definitely gonna get into more of stuff like that into our next episode, because we're gonna have our Anita Funk Generation bonus episode, but our next main episode is gonna be on what is it? I think I forgot.
I did not forget.